Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Josie Sullivan Podcast. I am your host, Josie Sullivan, and I am joined here today with the host of the Raw Egg Podcast here on YouTube, Brian Sullivan. Thank you for joining us today, Brian. A man of many words, folks, a man of many words. But today we are continuing to talk about what took place outside of the Supreme Court on Saturday, June 25th, the day after the Supreme Court released their decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. So, to start off our story today, we will be talking about a gentleman that we saw a few times. He had a large wooden cross that he was carrying around on his shoulder, and we were there when he was stopped by a group of protesters that had some things to say to this man. So we are going to play that clip for you folks right here.
You ever think the Bible was written in a desert by a bunch of people, and it's like kind of outdated?
No, they wrote it over time.
Right, but the thing about eating shellfish and stuff, like,
I eat shellfish.
don't they say not to somewhere?
Or mixed cloth. Don't same out, same thing.
Okay. I was just
shining out the darkness of the sun. That's all.
Yeah.
What about the women who are going to die
key.
because they can't get
Doesn't the Bible literally permit abortions? Like, it's part of everything.
Yeah. It does, and it has for many years. Actually, then it flipped. There's like the 70s when Roe v. Wade was first changed. It was actually flipped in order to allow more opportunities for segregation. So
Yeah, it's a
that's
very
where it's born
politicized
from. You can
topic.
look at
The
it.
church, where the church in general was never really opposed to it originally. It was politicized in the 80s.
We're not here politically. We're here.
I mean,
No,
dude,
people are-
you're here talking politically, bro.
Can I put a sign on your cross that says this is not a political statement? I think that would be really good.
It is a political statement. You're outside of
Can I
Capitol
put my
building.
death signs
That's the library of
business?
So you're being political. You know why?
Good job.
So is it helping?
Just here sitting, so spreading the light.
Trying to be loving.
Just try. Just.
But you're not. It's
Trying to be like, okay.
That is perfect. I love it. Good job, man.
Be careful.
Brian, I'll let you have the first word on this. What did you think about what transpired between these two groups of people?
I mean, right off the bat, I'm going to say that I think Jesus would be pretty jealous of that cross that guy had going on. I mean, you could see it in the corner. He had a nice little shoulder pad that the cross was able to go down. I mean, that
Wheels, too. It was a bougie cross.
It was. I think Jesus would have been really, really jealous, but, you know, that's what the part of the sacrifice is about, is carrying such a non-bougie cross. You know, it's not all of us can afford Gucci crosses. But no, right off the bat, you start strong with the whole concept. It's like, don't you think that the Bible was just written by some men in the desert and it's outdated and all that? And it's like, it's such a
I think the man summed it up pretty well with absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just such a lazy argument. It's like I've said before in one of my other podcasts, it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like a lot of people, it's like, oh yeah, the Bible was just created to control people. I'm like, oh, okay. So the Bible was just created to control people, but if you live by the principles of the Bible, then you'll live a more successful and happy life than people who don't, as you can tell by these godless heathens. That right off,
He comes out swinging, folks.
and it's like, you know, other than that, it's like right off the bat, it's like, this is what, do not play into these people's hands. It's like they know just basic enough about the Bible to try to throw it back at you. They don't care about any effort or
Context.
Yeah, they don't care about context, but they also don't care about any argument that you're going to try to make coming from the Bible, because they're just going to spout nonsense.
They're going to spout, don't put your religion on me. That has nothing to do with me, my body, my choice.
Yeah, and it's actually really funny. Like, say, one of the arguments, it's like, oh, what about the mixed cloth? Mixed cloth, that's stupid. That can't be legit. And it's like, well, yeah, no, if you actually think about it, that's actually also still true. Even from the Old Testament, from the Old Covenant, that is still true. If you wear polyester within your clothes, polyester lowers testosterone inside of men. So it's still correct even to today.
A lot of the things in the Old Covenant, if you actually do your research and look at the context of it, it was given to keep the Jews safe. in a lot of ways, about the cleanliness of things and the things that they ate. A lot of that was to keep them safe. So it was really God looking out for his people, But one thing that they did get into was, they said abortion's actually permitted in the Bible.
Up until the it was up until the 1980s.
Right.
That's when it changed.
Yeah, there was a whole new set of Bibles came out without that chapter. But that simply isn't true, folks. In the Bible, it says right here, Psalms 139, 13 through 16, for you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw me, unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. That in and of itself is a powerful and a beautiful verse. But also Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. So here we have these verses where God is clearly saying, he had a purpose for you even when you were in the womb. He gave you rights as a human. He gave you this power as a human while you were still in the womb, and even went so far to say, how he created you and how he set you apart from the world, and how he made you so lovingly and wonderful. So that is definitely very powerful to see. But after this interaction with these people, first of all, I would also like to throw out there that the people carrying the cross, I think that is a really powerful thing to do at one of these, and it takes a great amount of courage to do that. So I would like to extend a good job and a way to go to them on this front. But right after this interaction, they were talking about how this is a political statement, and the guy said it's not political. We're carrying this out here. We're
It's a beautiful sign.
It's a beautiful sign, right? That's it. And this led to a funny interaction because one of the ladies said, "You're out here in front of the Capitol building," and pointed off to her right. Where we were standing off to the right was the Library of Congress, and that was pointed out by our soon-to-be friend, this young guy we met out there. We didn't get his name, but we talked to them a few more times while we were out there, and he had a very compelling sign that we have a picture of right here for you folks. This is a sign indeed.
Captivating.
It was the best sign we saw out there by far, but I just wanted to say that this was a very funny interaction because the kid didn't miss a beat, right away just said, that's the Library of Congress. It very much so lightened the mood, so we wanted to throw that in here for you folks to lighten the mood in this case as well.
The boys were out in high energy, out in high alert. We don't stop. We keep going. These guys knew it was up. They were out there, and there's later interactions that we had. I don't know if we have any recordings of that part, but these guys, they weren't out there trying to cause trouble. They were just trying to be there to see what was going on. I mean, I don't blame them to be living through such this is a monumental time. I mean, if you think about it, this is almost as like a revolutionary as like when we went to the moon, it's that same type of like generational thing that goes on. Mm-hmm. And they were just out there trying to experience this. And actually you had this guy this is older guy that probably in his mid-30s,
I would say probably even older than that.
Mid-30s, 40s, sitting there coming up to these kids, and he was like, oh, I thought you guys were trolls, blah, blah, blah. And if it wasn't
He was like, show me what's on the sign, because he had the sign folded up and would show it to people when they asked to make it kind of even funnier. But
Yeah, so like, and it's like if they weren't quick-witted in the way that they spoke, you could tell that this guy would get really angry really fast. In that, it's these people, like they talked about a lot. The tolerant left. These people, they're not very tolerant. They don't care. They just wanna swing at whatever they can swing on.
Yeah, that gentleman you speak of definitely had a very hostile demeanor to him that very much so gave the impression that if, they had a differing opinion than him, he was not going to be happy. And there were 3 of these guys, they were young, but it definitely could have gone bad quickly if these guys wouldn't have been so ambiguous about their stance and we're just there to be there. So good on them for that, but it was definitely a good showing of the tolerant left for sure. But here we have another story talking about some more things that we saw that day leading into a gentleman that came to the protest. He had a cart almost. I would argue that he probably made it himself.
100%.
It was a well-made cart though, so we have to give credit where credit is due. But he had speakers in it and a keyboard on top, and he came over to play some music. From the moment he got there, he was saying that, and he wasn't in the middle of the protest. He was off to the side, back towards the Library of Congress, as a matter of fact. But he said, this is the free speech zone. So he basically came to, I would say promote positivity,
He
let
started
people
playing Bob Marley. That's what he started with, just like good vibes,
Yeah, Brian got out there and danced with a guy for a little bit right when he first showed up. So that was definitely fun, definitely lightened the mood.
Yeah, before the Killjoys got there.
Yeah, there were definitely some Killjoys that did not want to join the dance party, unfortunately. But this guy was out here, he honestly looked a little bit like Robin Williams.
The way that I would say it is more so it's like if you took the Robin Williams from Good Morning Vietnam and then aged him up to now, that's exactly what he'd be.
Right. Very much so same vibes. It could have been him. We don't know if it was
Robin Williams
or not. Honestly, I'm all here for it. Let me tell you right now. But we see some of the protesters get very angry at this guy. He stayed very centrist most of the time that he was there. There were a few times when he called the protesters lemmings, which, we can't really blame him for. But he was playing music, he even said, we'll play a music for the left and then for the right. So he was definitely not showing favoritism to either side. But we have a video here of people just being very hostile and very angry towards him. So we'll show that here for you folks right now.
My dead body. I don't know. I don't want to read that now. I really. They almost become okay, no, right now. I get the vibe. Thank you for your free speech. At least he's got IQ of 2. That's good. I'm sorry what they did to you. I'm sorry what happened to you, but don't transfer it to me. My God loves you. I don't see you as the enemy. Well, he still loves you, whether you believe it or not. He's waiting for you to come home. Wow. Can you salsa? Anybody can do salsa here?
I can salsa, but I'm not doing it.
All right. See what we're dealing with here? Hey, does anybody have a birthday? I don't want see anything I answer, you're going to turn it against you. So what's the point? It's kind of a low energy. This is a low energy rally. I'm sorry what happened to you. You all have a chance to go back to your states now. Start working with candidates who agree with you. Go run for candidacy. Become educated. Learn how to speak. Learn how to run for office. That's your solution in your states. Huh? I have 3 degrees. I have six children. I live and work in 13 countries. I play 6. See, anything I say, you'll use against me. Yeah.
All right, so there's that video you see of just all these protesters honestly berating this older gentleman who, you know, he said it multiple times there. I just want to play music. I would rather play music. He even at one point said, you know, I'm sorry that you guys have been hurt, but you're confusing me with the people that did that to you. It's not my fault. I'm sorry. Honestly, I got kind of emotional watching it back just because this guy has no malintent and he's out here just trying to spread positivity and to sing with these people and to dance and to have fun, and they can't accept that. Brian, what did you think about watching this?
I mean, these people's personalities is just like them ugly, you know. They just couldn't they couldn't vibe, you know. It just didn't pass the vibe check.
No.
I think that the favorite part of the clip, and that's probably going to get cut from it, is when that dude's whistle broke. That for that good 10 seconds his whistle stopped working. Man, that
Pure
was
bliss.
amazing. And it's like, it's these people just, they don't care about anything other than just trying to drown out other not even opposing opinions, because he wasn't really making much of an opinionated stance. He literally was just trying to play music and do song requests. And the funny thing about it too is they had some people, some abortionists with them, who wrote down song requests, and then these pleasant women went and then erased the sign. You know, it is just stupid. There's just no point for any of it. And I don't know if we're going to do that section here, but later on, this guy almost got surrounded by at least probably like 40, 50 people, and the cops had to step in.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that with footage closer to the end of the show, so stick around for that, because that was definitely probably the highlight of the protest for what we were there for. But definitely what you were saying about how they just want to drown out not even opposing opinions. I think what it was is that he didn't have a loud and a strong enough voice of their opinion, which was the problem and unfortunately his downfall. But going on to this, I would just like to turn the floor over to Brian to kind of show us, or to tell us about some of the signs that he saw, what he saw of the overall vibe of the protest, different things he saw and wants to point out. But here's a good time for that. Brian, what did you see and want to point out?
A lot of it is those same boring platitudes, and it's like I really don't even feel like sitting there debunking like all the different stuff, because it's just lazy, boring stuff, the usual, my body, my choice, no it's not, no uterus, no opinion. It's the worst argument out of all of them. But that
one particularly I have a problem with, just because, your uterus doesn't get pregnant by itself. There is not a condition called spontaneous pregnancy. So I think that it's honestly very unfair to men, or even just in general people with penises, that they get completely left out of the decision making for what is biologically half theirs. Mm-hmm. But Brian, I'll let you continue to share your thoughts.
I had two signs that were my favorite. I don't know if we'll have to see. Do you care if I'm able to say in full explicit what some of these signs said?
Knock yourself out, but his vocabulary does not reflect the views of the host of the podcast or our producer Hambone.
Okay, so like right off the bat, one that stood out, I don't know if we get a video of it, but somewhere it says like cut y'all's dicks off. Something like that. There was a sign where this woman took a picture of Garfield And then I don't remember exactly what it said. Something about I think it said like this pussy is pro-choice, and I don't understand what the correlation with Garfield. I know he likes lasagna.
I think it was just the fact that he was a cat, so it's like pussycat.
Oh, I thought they were maybe talking about with like lasagna, and then them after their 5th abortion is starting to look like a beef lasagna.
Oh my!
But and then like I think one of my favorites also on top of that is then when these people started thrusting their political beliefs onto their animals. It's just not fair. How do you know that the dog is viewed this way? They had a sign that they put on their dog, and it says, out here with my bitches, or something like that. And it's just like, no, that's not fair to these dogs. And then also at the same time,
Isn't it their body and their choice?
No.
What signs that they display, or that the opinions that they share?
Yeah, and then on top of that, it's like, I think that these people, it was actually quite upsetting. The amount of people that had dogs out there, I don't care that they had dogs out there per se, but we were out there for like 6 hours, and it was like 90-some degrees. It was hot. I mean, if we were sitting down on the curb sometimes, and just the smet was hot, and they had a lot of long-haired dogs out there that, I mean, were just like heat panting. A lot of these dogs
did not look happy.
No, they cannot tolerate those types of high temperatures for such a long time, and it's just like, it's almost animal abuse. But I'm also not surprised by people that are willing to kill their babies in the womb. So at least give it a fair fight. Let it get 18 throw hands. Then that's what I say.
Of course, but getting into the next story here, we did come across a gentleman who was wearing a MAGA hat and a American flag out there, and honestly, there wasn't as much pushback to him as I would have assumed. He definitely had people coming up to him, telling him to F off, all of these things. But, he handled it in stride. He took it very well. Brian, you actually had somewhat of a conversation with this man. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I thought he was a pretty cool guy. He was just out there. He was he was live streaming the experience for his buddy who couldn't be there. Yeah, he was a generally cool guy. He was trying.
I believe he danced at the dance party.
Yeah, he did. He was dancing. He was headbanging, doing all sorts of stuff. He was having a good time. He wasn't trying to like harass anybody. Don't let anyone try to fool you if they try to say that there was no form of harassment at all. It's, if anything, it was these people with low impulse control wanted to start the nonsense with people who were just trying to be there and experience history. This guy is a generally cool guy. One of my favorite parts is he had walked by this group of chicks, and this one girl was like, I was so about to steal the hat off of him. I so was. No, you weren't. No, you were not. You were in front of 40 cops. You were just saying that to try to catch
peacocking.
Clout. Yeah, it's peacocking. It's like you're just trying to catch clout. You weren't going to do anything about it. And it's actually really surprising because we did miss that, because later in the night, there's a lady who ended up coming out with a MAGA hat on, and the response was very different. And the funny thing too is, the woman who got inside of her face is the same woman who had gotten in the face of the man later on in the night who was playing the music, with the bullhorn, getting in front of these people and just screaming in their faces,
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see. I know, Taylor USA has some footage of that, so you can go over to his channel and check that out. I'll link any video he has, but other than that, you can check him out on Instagram. That was a pretty cool experience, though. We definitely got to meet some people that we look up to in the reporting field and on the more right and conservative side of the aisle, which was definitely a fun experience for just the two of us, because we have, living in a small town in Michigan, you don't really get to see people that you watch on the internet, so it was a cool experience for sure. But one thing I would also like to point out is the possible felonies that were being advertised at these protests. I saw multiple signs with Kavanaugh's address. I'll post a picture of it blurred out because I am not about to put Judge Kavanaugh's address out on the internet on my channel, because I do not believe that that is the correct thing to do. But there were signs with his address, and then later in the evening, I was sitting on the curb, and I looked over slightly to my left, and I saw a gentleman holding little flyers for basically a meetup the day that we're recording this, June 26th, the Sunday after the protest we were at, that were saying meeting at Kavanaugh's house, had his address on it, and, bring noisemakers, all of these things. So I think, honestly, it's a tacky move to attack someone at their home, or honestly just to, that's terrorizing them, honestly. I would be livid if people decided to show up outside of our house, especially if we had children there, or, we're just trying to live our life, barbecuing on a Sunday, and all these people show up and make a scene, cause security to get there, all this stuff that just, it really, it's really unfortunate that this is what our society has devolved to, in what we allow to happen to the people in power and in decision making for our government, and these people that need to be protected, but then also the people that are going against the law and harassing them in their personal residences. It's very sad, and it's quite disgusting, frankly, that they would stoop to something so low. How, it's one of those things where it's like, don't do what you wouldn't want done to you. How would you like it if an angry mob showed up outside of your house and while your kids were there and you're trying to hang out on a weekend? Definitely not a cool move on the side of the protesters here. Brian, what did you think about that?
Just the basics about it. These people are just terrorists. That's all it is. They do not care if you're high level, mid level, low level, nobody. I got 22 subscribers at the time of recording this, and I had someone doxing what they thought was my address, but then it ended up actually being my mom's address. And it's like, okay, so you are going to put possible danger upon people's family because you disagree. Right? Again, just terrorists. That's all these people are. They do it to Tim Pool, the quartering. They do it. They go to Kavanaugh's house. They go to Barrett's house. And these people have nothing better to do than try to strike fear and instill just fear throughout the populace, so that people stop speaking up, because they have no legitimate way forward. These people have no leg to stand on, and the only way that they can get what they want is by lying and terrorism. And I think that's more indicative than anything else. And I make a prediction, and honestly, let them keep playing these stupid games. Let them keep doing it. It's not going to turn out well for them. If people keep pushing these stupid games, we've already had such a positive announcement come out of the court with the changing on New York's concealed carry license. If they keep pushing it to these levels, and if, say, they attack churches or they attack buildings that people are not allowed to carry due to gun-free zones, you're going to have lawsuits that's going to happen. That's going to go right to the Supreme Court, and you're going to see constitutional carry eventually happen, because people's lives are being put in danger because these people want to act like little terrorists.
Yeah, definitely. And we can do another show on gun control later on to get further into that. But another thing, I believe it was on Timcast IRL, they were talking about how this decision, although it itself means a lot, another cool meaning is that SCOTUS made a decision that they knew would not be popular, but because the way that the legislation was written and how it was done, Roe v. Wade needed to be overturned, for democracy and for just how our laws are and all of that, which is honestly pretty cool to see SCOTUS go against popular opinion and make a decision they know would not go over well to, uphold democracy, which is definitely a really cool thing to say.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a no-brainer, and it's kind of like people who get mad about abortion, they get mad about gay marriage. Right up 10th Amendment. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. This is 100% says exactly why Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional, the same premise for why gay marriage is unconstitutional. I'm not arguing as if it should be legal or not, but legal in the sense that it is now, of course not, because it is 100%. It is
not democracy.
It's not democracy. We are not a democracy, but on top of that, it's just unconstitutional. A right that is not given by the Constitution has to go to the states. That is how the Constitution is written. And even if try to make federal law, they don't even try to do that. They either will rule through the bench or not at all. So if you cannot make a form of a law either through the state or for the federal, and you really don't have a position to stand on, the court's position and job is not to sit there and delegate and make rules and make laws. And on top of it, even when they do make laws, who's really gonna force people to follow that, right? Right now you have the Department of Defense. It's basically saying that it's going to ignore what SCOTUS has to say about Roe v. Wade being overturned. That they are going to help women in the military be able to get their abortions. And they were sitting there arguing that it's so important that women in the military be able to have abortions, or that might scare women out of the military because they'll fear not being able to get abortions if they're stationed in a certain area. And it's like, that is such a crock. And if that is the only reason you're not considering going into the military is abortion, I don't want you in the forces anyways. One, because women don't even really need to be in the military anyways.
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation about, just the value of having women on the home front and in the forces, which we can definitely go into at a later date. But I want to get into our last story here, circling back around to our Robin Williams lookalike, friendly piano man, and what took place slightly before we left the protests around 9. Brian, what did you see? I'll play the video here for you folks, and then we'll be back to hear Brian's take on everything that happened.
I must say,
My phone is third.
So after that very aggressive display from the protesters, we're back, and Brian, what did you think about that?
Loud noises.
Yes, it really does reminisce to the scene in Anchorman when Steve Carell just looks and screams loud noises. That's very much so what this was. Do you have any other comments on what you saw go down?
I mean, it was just it was really cool to see how fast the police actually got in action and surrounded that guy. They knew what they were doing. They knew that these people they do have low impulse control, that these people are not the least bit shy about harming people that they disagree with. So they got in, they surrounded him pretty quickly, and they helped keep these protesters back. I think that just the basics of the you got side A yelling at side B kind of responding back. That's that's not really it's just normal. People angry, they're gonna do their thing. But I think my most favorite part about all of that is the one lady with her red megaphone who's just singing her own tune. Everyone's just going berserk on this guy. My body, my body, my body. The whole time it was pretty funny. But yeah, other than that, it's they just do not like the different. Not even necessarily opinion, because he wasn't really doing anything, and he even said that it's like, hey, is there a song we can sing together? And it's just like
they said no.
It's like, no, you're making a joke of this, and it's like, I mean, you guys are making a joke of yourself, if anything, but whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely a sight to see. It honestly, it goes to show, tolerance and love and inclusivity. Definitely a lot of peace and joy and harmony. Kumbaya was the title of this scene here. But there was that lady singing on her megaphone. She had a very beautiful voice, but I think a single release of that song would be much appreciated and very useful for future Roe v. Wade protests, since it does not appear that this decision is going anywhere soon. So definitely very interesting to see a lot of anger and yelling and all of these things outside of the Supreme Court. Brian, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
No, not that I can really think of. I all I can say is that I was pretty disappointed. For people who say that they believe in something so passionately, they're just low energy, no attempt at originality, no attempt at trying to do something to push the envelope. It was just yelling at an empty building.
Yep, for sure. No fires, very very unfortunate. No bombs, also very unfortunate. But I would like to say thank you all for tuning in to this 2-part series we have covering the Roe v. Wade protests outside of the Supreme Court. It was definitely a very interesting experience, and we look forward to bringing you more of this content in the future as it unfolds and as other things happen down the line. Stay tuned for all of that. Make sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe to this YouTube channel to see more, and comment any other ideas that you had on this video or things that you'd like to hear us talk about or cover in the future. We would love to hear your opinion on all of that. But with all of that being said, I am Josie Sullivan with the Josie Sullivan Podcast. Thank you, Brian, for joining us, and everyone else, have yourself a great day.
Mm-hmm.